My name's Justin Hughey, and I'm running for State House of Representatives in District 8. I'm a teacher, and I work a second job at a restaurant in order to be a teacher, even though I have a master's degree. And I'm running, my predominant focus is on education. I've kind of been appalled by the educational system every year, and now that we had the furloughs, I just really couldn't sit back and see what happens next year. I'm also running on reducing the cost of medical insurance, health insurance, which just keeps rising. The foreclosure mess is a big problem that I want to address by working on keeping a lot of families in their homes. The Hawaiian homelands, providing more infrastructure, getting people off the rolls, and economic development, jobs, jobs, jobs.
What's your position on civil unions? Should same-sex couples be granted the same rights and privileges as legally married couples?
I mean, I feel that same-sex couples should have the equal right to be just as miserable as the rest of us, but in all honesty, there was a time when, a lot of communities thought slavery was okay, when there was a time when people thought that women shouldn't be able to vote. There was a time when, minorities shouldn't be able to vote, Native Hawaiians shouldn't be able to vote, and, I just really feel that the Civil Unions Bill should have passed, and it was also a bill for everyone. It wasn't just same-sex couples, it was for everyone. And when France incorporated it, they saw a drop in divorce by 25%, and I just feel that it's a great stepping stone to the sanctity of marriage between you, God, and your community.
On the issue of transportation, the widening and realignment of the Honoapi'ilani Highway has been discussed for years, yet only a small portion is currently under construction. How long will it really take, and what alternatives do you envision to alleviate traffic at this time?
I think this is a little bit, honestly, of a misleading question. I mean, it took 30 years for us to get the funding for it, and now are we just gonna take it, do another super ferry? Did we not learn from the super ferry? Are we just gonna start paving wherever we're gonna, over everything, and disregard our communities and disregard what we might find under the ground? I drive from Wailuku to Lahaina to school every day, and I do see a widening that's already happening there, and I think we just need to, now that the funding's there and now it's happening, I think we just need to, relax and let it happen.
The State Commission on Water Resource Management recently issued rulings on streams in East Maui and also at Nawai'eha in the West Maui Mountains. Are the new in-stream flow standards sufficient, or will they ultimately hurt the struggling sugar industry?
Well, it's an excellent question that a lot of people are talking about. I believe in the public trust doctrine of the Hawaii State Constitution, that water is not owned by any entity, by the state. It is there for the people. I've been talking to a lot of our legislators about this, and an interesting thing is that I find is we have to have balance, and the companies, they really need to conserve. And there's a company that recycles municipal sewer water and turns it into ag water. So there might be a way to produce jobs, keep more water in the stream, and use this company to recycle sewer water into ag water, because that's what they specialize in.
What do you plan to do to prevent a repeat of the Furlough Friday situation at public schools in Hawaii?
Well, there's no way that it's going to happen on my watch, and I want to make it a permanent historical event that will never come up again. First issue is fully funding education to make sure furloughs will never ever happen. I am completely committed to that. Two is that our state spends 40% of their budget on education, and yet we still have teacher shortages. So we need to reallocate those funds to the front lines. How are we going to do that? We need to conduct a fair and impartial audit of the Department of Education, so we're not demonizing it and cutting it with a hatchet, that we're taking scalpels cutting it with a scalpel and looking at certain inefficiencies. We need to talk about complex area superintendents. You know, do we really want to spend $150,000 on that position? I see the superintendent of schools vision should go straight to the principals. The muck-up in between is a little iffy. Also, we need to ensure local decision-making within the statewide school system through school community councils. We can give them some teeth with having them give final approval of the academic and financial plans. We have to end the wasteful contracts of outside consulting to private companies. We can be doing that for less than the $45 million that we're paying right now, which will be over $140 million in 2 years. I have a plan to effectively measure student and school performance, which a lot of schools aren't getting their just deserves. A lot of schools showed progress even though they didn't meet the annual yearly progress. Eliminate repair and maintenance backlog. That is huge. There's jobs right there. You know, at my school in 2007, there was holes in the roof. We had a $600 million surplus. That legislature allocated $200 million to education. Linda Lingle didn't release it. And at my school we had water falling in on the kids when they were taking the state assessment, and actually the pieces of the ceiling were falling in on the kids. I was appalled. I took pictures of it, sent it to my representative, but you know, I got that roof put on. I helped get that roof put on ahead of schedule, and you know, schools have to be safe structures at the minimum. Make schools energy self-sufficient, which is huge. Solar panels on roofs. We shouldn't be having to be paying for the energy here. And fully staffed schools for well-rounded for a well-rounded education. And finally, create teacher incentives to keep teachers here. I actually just met with Dan and Noy's staff, and they wanted to know what kind of federal funds they could bring. The DOE used to spend $20 million a year to train and recruit teachers to come here, of which 60% would leave in 3 years because, hey, oh, it's beautiful, but I only get paid, you know, less than $1,200 every 2 weeks after taxes. But we should be spending money on tuition waivers for people here that have residents here that have lived here that would like to work here, so they don't have to pay the tuition and go in debt to be a teacher. So that is my encompassing educational platform.
Okay, any closing thoughts? This is also an opportunity to address anything that I didn't ask you or give contact information or upcoming campaign events.
Well, I am just a common man that works 2 jobs in order to, you know, live paycheck to paycheck. And I am doing this to keep the attention on education, and I have no doubt that I can be very successful as a watchdog for education in the House, bringing over, you know, the bacon. I believe this because I've gotten up in front of and passed legislation in front of my teachers' representative assemblies, debating issues in front of 500 different people. I then went to the National Education Association and passed legislation there in front of over 10,000 people debating issues. And finally, my biggest one was I passed a resolution this year, House Congruent Resolution 282, that petitioned Congress to separate the division between corporations and people. Just way too much corruption going on. And that got me an interview on the Tom Hartman show, #1. He has 3 million viewers. But honestly, it's not about me. My race is not about putting my face in the paper. It's about, you know, you, the parents, everyone in the community really needs to get out, because when the furlough thing comes around, if I'm not in there, they're going to look at the rolls and see how many people voted, and they're just going to say, you know, if no one comes out, they're going to say, hey, they didn't care. We can do this again. But I really feel that here in Hawaii, we can have educational renaissance if we focus our resentment towards what happened and get out, vote, and vote for people like I believe in myself, who can get in there and really truly reform education. www.putateacherinthehouse.com. You can find out all the information about me there.